Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we're going to be looking at the Play Arts Kai Arkham series. I guess it's technically Arkham City Poison Ivy. And it is a really cool figure. She stands just under 8.5 inches tall, so she's got some pretty good size to her. She's pretty well in scale with the other figures. I don't really have any complaints with that. She comes with a bunch of good stuff, so we'll talk about her as a figure in a second. Let's talk about what she comes with first. Before any of the fun stuff, we have another one of these nice Play Arts Kai stages or display stands, whatever you want to call it. It's all translucent plastic. It comes on the inside card, and it's on the inside of a blister, so you don't have to take it out if you don't want to, but you can because her blister is black, so it won't get too ugly if you want to put the figure back in the package. You can see here everything you get. On this side it gives you the instructions for assembling the display stand, and you can see right there what it's going to look like. It's got the adjustable clip, the adjustable upright, and a nice big base. And then on this side it just shows you how to use the interchangeable hands, which is obviously just a peg. And it shows you that her little Ivy things are bendable, which I'll show you that. And it shows you how to assemble her little mini diorama-esque base, which is pretty cool. We don't typically get those, so I'm happy we did. And I'll show you that as we go through the accessories. First, let's just look at the hands. She has two general, plain old, kind of relaxed, open hands. One on that side, and one on that side. Not too much going on there to look at. They are sculpted well. You can see there's fingernails in there, or there are fingernails in there. And then we also have two of these hands, which have the fingers kind of out like she was holding something, kind of like the Soda Vega when he's holding the rose. So when you pose her, if you want to put the vine going over her hand like that, you can do that, and it looks okay. So then we also get the two vines that I mentioned while looking at the inside of the packaging. They're super highly detailed. The sculpt is really nice on them, and they're painted fairly well also. And they do have the bendable wire inside. It stops right here for the back part. You can see a little seam. This part is not bendable. It's always coiled like that. And at the very front it stops pretty much where that hole is. So the very front's not bendable, but the rest is, and it works fairly well. It's nice and soft material. It's not going to have any problems posing it however you want to, so that'll make for some pretty cool displays. And I'm pretty sure, let's see, are they both the exact same? I think they are. It looks like they are. Yeah, they're the same, so you get two of those. Zoom out. They're pretty good size compared to the figure. This one's bent a little bit, obviously. It's almost as tall as she is, so pretty good size, cool accessory. And then a little base thingy that you have to put together. I don't think it's bendable, is it? No, it's not bendable, but it's made to match the bendable pieces. This is all highly detailed. It looks really cool. Lots of texture. The little flowers in there are painted nicely. You have this big flower piece that's opening up like it's going to attack something. Again, it's sculpted and painted well. And you have a little Venus flytrap monster type thing over here. So really cool. And then inside there you get a little spot where you can stick her feet, a foot, 1 foot only, and it's just a nice little display piece. So it's very cool that they included that. And that stands, in case you're wondering, just about 6 inches tall to the top of this thing right here. So that's a nice little bonus. You don't normally get those. Now back to the figure. I was pretty excited for this figure. I like this character design a lot for Ivy, and I like the Play Arts Kai line a lot. So again, I was happy to get the figure, and I'm not disappointed with it really at all. There are a couple little gripes I have, which aren't really big issues. One is that her face is really glossy. I'm not sure why the face is so glossy, but it really is shiny. That being said, it looks really good. It may not be 100% game accurate, but the detail work they did is pretty phenomenal. The hair's a separate piece, so there's no paint issues with the hairline. The eyes are painted exceptionally well. Look at the detail in that. They look great. The sculpted parts, the little vines or ivy that's growing on her face is done really well. Throughout the entire body, the vines themselves are not painted, just the leaves, and that's okay. It matches everywhere. It looks really, really good. And the hair is sculpted well, and it has some shading spots in it. The shading spots aren't the best because they're kind of actually spots, but it might be like that in the game. I don't remember, and if it is, then it's definitely not an issue, so that's fine by me. The little jacket thing is done really well. The Arkham City logo on the back, pretty much perfect. All the little buttons are painted, the little snaps, the belts and things, just looks really good. By and large, there's really not much to complain about with this figure. The paintwork is pretty well done. The only things that kind of bug me about it are the joints do stand out sometimes. They don't quite match the other parts of the green. You can kind of see that it is just slightly off, so it's not too big of a deal though. And then this part, this is supposed to be her stomach. It's not supposed to be like pants or something, so it's supposed to blend, but they used a little bit of shading around the top part of it, and it makes it look like she's wearing some kind of weird outfit. But it's not too bad. If you know what it's supposed to look like and don't try to notice it, it's not too bad. So I'm okay with that. And then the last complaint kind of that I have is this is not really a soft piece of plastic like they normally do with the clothes, and it doesn't really have to be. That's why it's not a super big complaint, but it is relatively hard plastic, so it's not going to really move too much. Alright, let's talk about the articulation. We already talked about the sculpt and the paint, and those are both really well done. Articulation's pretty good. You do get to see the double barbell in the neck at some angles, but as long as you're posing the figure so that you're looking at it, you won't be able to see it, and it's fine. And it does give it pretty good range of motion, except for the hair, of course, but what are you going to do? There's hair there, so it's gonna get in the way a little bit. Nothing you can do about that, but pretty good range of motion for the head. The shoulders have the butterfly joints. You can still see a little mold release grease on there, but they do have the butterfly joints, and then it's a ball hinge on top of that. The bicep swivel comes down here, which is nicely done because it's at a seam. You can't tell it's there. Then you have the ratcheted ball hinge. It swivels at the bicep and at the forearm and ratchets, and you can get a pretty good range of motion on that. Again, it's a good example right there of how the colors aren't quite right, but it's not as bad in person as it is on camera, so it's not too big of a deal. The wrist joint is the same type of joint. It looks a little bit different because it's not exactly made the same way, but it's the same as the elbow. It spins at the forearm and at the wrist, or at the hand, and it is ratcheted. Let's see if it's, there we go. So that's ratcheted, and that's cool. Now mine, for some reason, the peg for her interchangeable hands on her left side is kind of loose. So I'm not sure if that's a normal thing or not, but it doesn't take any effort really at all to take the hand off. It doesn't fall off, so it's not a problem, but you may want to watch out for that if yours is going to be loose. And the torso is done pretty much as we've seen before. It's a double ball peg, so it's a barbell. Pretty much all the range of motion you want. Not as much swivel as I would have liked, and you can force it. I'm not going to. You can force it more, but you can get the rotation enough by using it and using the lower articulation, so you don't really have to worry about it too much, but you do get a good front to back, so plenty of posability there. This part of the torso is connected on the upside down T-joint, where it's just a standard ball peg going into the torso, so that can rotate around however you want, and it leans as far as you want also, and they did a really good job with that. You can really lean her over, and it's not going to it doesn't look bad at all, so that's fine by me. The crotch piece is technically a floating piece, but they're getting really good at it. It doesn't float so much anymore as it is just a separate piece, so it doesn't impede the articulation. It doesn't look all bulky anymore. They're starting to get really good at that, and it works just fine. The hips are ratcheted ball hinges, so they ratchet from side to side. They ratchet forward and back. And then, of course, the thigh swivels around on that. You can kind of see the peg coming down from the ball going into the thigh. The thigh can swivel on that, like a standard peg joint. So that's okay. Pretty good so far. The knees are standard for the Play Arts Kai. They're not the worst I've seen. They're not the best. They don't quite match the rest of the figure, but it's not enough to where it's really going to be a problem. They do have the double hinge, but it's not considerably ugly like some of the other ones are. I find that the skinnier the sculpt, the better it looks and the better it works. So this is really going to be okay, especially for any sort of posing you're going to do. Once you get it posed, you're not even going to really notice it too much, so it's really not too big of a problem for me. The ankle is literally the exact same joint as the elbow. I guess it could technically be a different size, but it looks the same to me. It swivels at the shin and in the foot, and it's ratcheted. There's no more cut joint in the foot, thankfully. I don't like those. The peg does go in at an angle into the foot to give you a little bit of an ankle rocker there, but of course with this type of joint you don't need it because you can just rotate it and you have as much as you need. So that's fine by me. Now her feet are kind of small, not too small because that's what they should look like, but it does give some problems when trying to get her to stand up. It's a very tiny base to get the figure to stand, so just be a little cautious when you're posing her if you're not going to stick the foot in there. I think it goes this way. This is how I had it earlier, and it's kind of fits in just fine like that. So that's definitely going to help you pose her if you're going to do that. But if you're not, then do be careful that it does have small feet, and if you're not going to use the flight stand, obviously. So that's the rundown of the figure. A lot of good accessories, a lot of good paint work and good sculpt work, lots of airbrushing and finer detailing throughout. So like I said, there's really not a whole lot to complain about, just those few kind of issues that I mentioned, but those aren't really even issues. So I'm going to definitely recommend this figure. It's so good. If you like the character or like the games or just like cool figures, this one is definitely one to pick up. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for the Harley Quinn review and some other good stuff and customs and all that stuff. So do that, and in the meantime, keep collecting.